Welcome to Fic Lab, the free library of your favorite fictions, fanfictions, and many more. Make sure to subscribe and be part of our family. Now let's begin. When she grabbed the paper, looking at it, examining our signatures. Kaido, was it? Not a name common in these lands. Are you from the nation to the west? She asked, Kaido nodding quickly. Oh, how pleasant. I was hoping to visit there someday. Maybe you could give me a tour? She said, Kaido nervously laughing and nodding. Sure. He said, looking around the room sheepishly. Anyway, let's get down to business. She said, walking from behind the desk. She wore black dress shoes, the only thing green she didn't wear. I've been trying to help a certain individual's band get a venue at a certain place. She said, walking up to the both of us. She was quite tall, not as tall as Kaido, though. The place to meet him is in the lower city, so you can expect there to be some shady gangs and organizations running things. That's where you guys come in. He goes by the name Lock Blackhand. She said, reaching into her pocket and taking out a bracelet. This will help me keep in touch with you. Are either of you a mage or have mana? She asked, Kaido raising his hand in response. We both saw her eyes widen, a large grin forming on her face. Amazing! I'll pay you guys double then, she said, giving us a small smile. So, in the lower city is a bar called Blackwood Bar. Ask the bartender for a C note. That's so oddly specific. Kaido said, Jade walking up to him. I know, sounds pretty weird, right? She clamped the bracelet onto his wrist, the small orb on it glowing a little. That'll allow us to communicate effectively. This world is massive, so certain things just won't do the job, she said, turning around. Anyway, Shu, I have work to get back to. These dealers aren't going to find themselves, she said, taking a seat on her chair. I gave her a skeptical look. Thought you said you didn't run a business? I asked, narrowing my eyes. Listen, I don't gain anything out of this except for seeing people progress in life through unethical ways. You're the ones getting money, she said, leaning forward and getting back to her work. All right then, Kaido said. We expect payment once our job is finished then. Of course. By the way, watch out for any unwanted attention. The slave market is booming there, I heard. They have the OLA backing them. Grime balls just want to fill their pockets. She slammed her fist on the desk, her smile returning. Anyway, happy hunting, she said, waving at us. We looked at each other and sighed, heading out of the room and back downstairs. When we looked out the door, we saw the sunlight shining on the ground. Fuck, I said, opening my umbrella and taking a deep breath, my heart pounding. I take a step outside, my entire body thankfully not bursting into flames. I took a sigh of relief and quickly followed behind Kaido to the cable car. At least you're not dying again, Kaido said, stepping inside of a car. I followed behind him, taking a seat across from him as I positioned the umbrella towards the sun as to not get burned. Dude, that's sick. Your eyes are glowing, Kaido said, sounding amazed. So what have you been through, dude? I asked, feeling the car move. It's a long story, Kaido said. I'll tell you when we're done with this mission, all right? He said. I nodded my head in response, seeing us come to the ground. We stepped out of the cable car, walking down the hill. The ground remained wet, small puddles being seen and water being heard going down drainage systems. So, this Lock guy, what do you think he's like? Kaido asked me, having his hands in his pockets. Well, I personally believe he's going to be like a mastermind of sorts, you know, planning all the gigs and that stuff. I said, chuckling a little. Yeah, I guess. Kaido said, looking around as he slowly watched our surroundings get worse. Color seemed to drain a little. The people were hiding out in houses, sticking syringes in themselves, and doing all sorts of illicit acts in alleyways. This is really bad, I said, coming across the bar to our left. The Blackwood Bar, written in fake gold letters. We entered the bar, the chaos immediately setting in. Loud music was playing, people were drinking, and betting games were being played. We took a seat in front of the bartender. It surprised me that he looked like a nice and respectful person, unlike the rest of these deviants. What can I get ya? He asked, seeming quite young. He had circular glasses and black wavy hair that one of those rich kids would have. A C note. Kaido said, the bartender pausing what he was doing. He flicked his glasses, a glint shielding one eye. Very well, follow me, he said, signaling both me and Kaido to follow. He led us into a back room, and it was filled with crates. The crates themselves were filled with drinks meant for the bar. There was an odd painting, which he moved out of the way, having a staircase leading deeper down. All three of us entered, heading down. The noise from the bar quieted down, but more noise from down below began to stir. When we reached the end of the staircase, he opened a door revealing people talking through multiple phones. They seemed to be phones that resembled trumpet horns. They were speaking into them, talking stuff about money and business, next moves, and how to crash parties. Not everybody knows that, even some of our regulars. They know of the band, Lotus, and many know the man who made them who they are. The bartender said, his accent changing to that of a British one. You'll see, he said, knocking on a door. A green light flashed inside, the bartender opening it. Good luck. Sitting on a chair, drunk, a man with medium-length, messy black hair with a bit of a red streak on its left bang that could be faintly seen. Oh, would you look at that? Look who the recruit brought in. Locke leaned back in his chair, putting his feet on the desk. He had fair skin and wore a black tank top, leather pants, and small cowboy boots. Though the most notable features were the cased bullets he used as a substitute belt and a bronze, metallic arm. So, what do you want? Hurry, I'm expecting a guy to handle some biz, he said, taking a puff of smoke from a cigar. There were bottles of alcohol scattered across the ground and a guitar with a strange emblem on the bottom right of it. We were sent by Jade, Kaido said, Locke slowly tipping down his glasses, revealing brown eyes. He flicked his glasses back up, scratching his stubble beard. Ah, that bitch, he said, taking another drag. All right then, she didn't tell me there were gonna be two of ya, but whatever gets the job done, he said, standing up, being 5 feet 9 inches. He had a blend of an American and a British accent. All right, so there's this guy, Vance, right? Get this bitch is taking up my gigs. Scaring away me fans for the upper city. That's terrible, I said sarcastically, Locke grabbing my shoulders. His grip was pretty strong. I know, right, mate? So, what I need you to do is kill that fucker and possibly take over his little business he's got going on. Dismantle it, I don't care, just get rid of him so I can perform. I'll pay ya, he said, sitting back in his chair. All right then, Kaido said as Locke took a swig of some drink. Perfect. Now get going. Time's wasting, he said, Kaido and I leaving the room. For the world they live in. This guy gave us nothing to work with, I said, walking out of the bar with Kaido beside me. Just then, the bracelet on Kaido's wrist began to glow green. Hello? Can you two hear me? It was Jade on the other side. Yeah, we can hear you, Kaido said, looking at me. Honestly, we were both surprised. We thought it was a tracker. Good to know you've met Locke, she said. All right, it is a tracker. I'll put him on the other line, she said, the green glow now turning blue. Yo? You little cunts can hear me, right? Locke said on the other line. Before we could answer, he talked again. I already know you guys can hear me. All right then, asshole. Listen, Vance is a man residing in the upper city, Jade said, the orb flashing back to green. It may now be common knowledge, but every semi-rich fella knows about his dealings with living auctions. Locke spoke through the device. Locke dash, only those in his inner circle know about his little drug deals going on, especially with Gamiya. Gamiya? What the hell is that? Scanning. Gamiya are a species of mushrooms on this planet, mainly found in the southern regions of this country. They produce psychedelic effects when ingested. What does he need that for? I asked, the bracelet flashing a little. We made our way back to the cable cars, entering one. You seriously asked that question? Locke sounded annoyed. You must be a real dumbass of a hitman, but if you must know. I remained silent. Both of us did. You're serious? They're fucking drugs, man. Not as potent as some, but they get the addicts rolling out of their alleys. He said, me and Kaido reaching the upper city. How big is the upper city exactly? Kaido asked, the orb flashing green. Pretty big. Big enough to house a few underground bases despite the entire upper city being on a floating island. What? That's why there's a massive hole in the middle? I asked, standing in the street with Kaido. There was a war about 75 years ago. This place was affected heavily by it. A renowned knight by the name of Galmed fought an aspect, specifically that of gravity. An aspect? What are these terms I am hearing? Researching. The universe functions off 3 different systems of power, each affecting everything in their own way. The first and most common being magic. The arcane arts can be studied, as it allows mortals to achieve what they can't do physically. The second are known as routes. These are special and slightly rarer traits that an individual attains at some point in their life or not at all. They are, however, the most notorious and enigmatic, as routes are still mysterious in nature, and route takers are often hunted. On that note, caution is advised when using Worldbreaker. The final and rarest system of power in this universe, and perhaps beyond, is aspects. These beings are born, and it is something that cannot be attained. This is a lot. I mumbled, rubbing my head as my brain somehow managed to process all of this. It might have been because I was a vampire. This umbrella might be my best friend. It's keeping me safe. Aspects are beings that take on a core aspect of the universe, ranging from tangible things like water and fire. However, they are not limited to abstract concepts such as violence or decay. Those are the 3 main ones, huh? I asked, crossing my arms. Why are you talking to yourself? Kaido asked, causing me to jump a little. Oh, sorry. What's going on? I asked, Kaido sighing. They basically said a massive fight broke out here, and the aspect of gravity managed to instill a core that made part of the ground float. He said, putting his hands in his pockets. We're supposed to head to the southeastern part of the city, which is the main industrial district. He said, starting to walk to the right. I followed behind him quickly. System, are you able to tell me the rarity of these? Scanning. About 5% of this world possesses mana, and about 3% of them possess magic. 1.5% of people have routes, with the aforementioned 0.5% for those with dual routes. Aspects, however, account for greater than 1% of this world's population, as they are one of the few beings who can transcend to a higher state. Interesting. I mumbled, Kaido looking back at me. Dude, are you okay? He asked, tilting his head. Yeah, I'm alright. You know I have a system? I said, his eyes widening. Really? Lucky. All I have is this one guy who appears in a different body each time and speaks to me in riddles or something. Kaido sighed, looking defeated. That sounds off. We eventually reached a certain factory titled Vance Glassmaking Industries. Alright, both of you at least look somewhat rich, so you can just waltz in there. Be careful of anyone with canes, though, real nasty fellas. We thought Locke was joking, but he sounded a bit serious. We entered the place, looking around. The smell of sweat, iron, and heat filled this place. We saw people hard at work, though they didn't seem happy. Jade then spoke. Alright, here's what's going to happen. Start up something. Enough to have the guards provoked, but not enough to kill you. I and Kaido looked at each other, a grin appearing on my face. Hey boys! I yelled out, some of the workers pausing what they were doing. A little birdie told me you guys can have the day off. I said, the workers looking at each other in disbelief. Oi! A guard yelled while jogging over to us with another guard beside him. No one is supposed to be here during working hours unless you work here. Now bugger off. The guard to the left said as Kaido walked up to him. What are you going to do about it? Kaido asked, looking down at the guard. Now that I look at it, when did Kaido get so fit? Well, then we'll just have. As the guard spoke, Kaido punched him in his face, knocking him to the ground. Hey! The second guard yelled, pointing a small revolver at us. Immediately, we put our hands in the air. Calm down now. Kaido said, the guard he punched standing up and pulling out a metal baton, whacking him over the head with it. He fell to the ground with an audible thud, a bit of blood trickling down his head. Kaido dash. Everything flashes white before going black immediately. I groaned, the pain in my head throbbing. This hurt so bad. Due to extensive healing, your blood amount is low. You must feed or consume others to replenish. The system's same crimson interface appeared before my eyes. Its white words blinding me slightly. Interestingly enough, it adapted to that. The words went from a snowy white to a deathly black. Not only was it easier to see, it was easier on my eyes. I looked around, trying to move my hands, only to find that they were bound together. I sat in a damp room. The floor had a cold, stainless steel feeling to it. The walls were of rusted iron, the smell being overwhelming. I saw small stains of blood on said walls. It seems like some sort of conflict went down. Kaido sat next to me, slightly bruised, but seemed to be kept in good condition. As my hearing came on, I heard the sound of cheering and an announcer, though I couldn't exactly hear what they were saying. Just as Kaido woke up, a bright light engulfed this dim room. I squinted my eyes, feeling a man grab me, and watched as another grabbed Kaido, throwing us onto a dirt ground. "Place your bets now, folks," an announcer said, standing in the center of this circular arena.